Christ abolished the commandments contained in ordinances according to Ephesians 2:15. Does this mean that Christ did not destroy the 10 Commandments? Think not that I am come to destroy the law or the prophets. I am not come to destroy, but to fulfill. Matthew 5:17. Could the law be still good and holy after the cross? Wherefore the law is holy, and the commandment holy, and just and good. Romans 7:12. Should we do away with a law that is holy, just, and good? For the law, having a shadow of good things to come, and not the very image of the things, can never, with those sacrifices which they continually offered, make the comers thereunto perfect. Hebrews 10:1. What set of law contained those sacrifices that were a shadow of Christ? Are there any sacrifices by fire in the 10 Commandments? Think about it. Think about it. What is sin? Sin is the transgression of the law, according to 1 John 3:4. Now, if this is true, is Sabbath breaking sin, according to Exodus chapter 20, verses 8 through 11? What would God think of those right now if they taught that the Sabbath was done away with? Here you see Billy Graham, T.D. Jakes, Jimmy Swaggart, and Oral Roberts. What would God think of those right now if they taught that the Sabbath was done away with? Think not that I am come to destroy the law or the prophets. I am come not to destroy, but to fulfill. For verily I say unto you, till heaven and earth pass, one jot or one tittle shall in no wise pass from the law, till all be fulfilled. Whosoever shall break one of these least commandments, and shall do what? Teach men so, he shall be called least in the kingdom of heaven. But whosoever shall do and teach them, the same shall be called great in the kingdom of heaven. Matthew 5:17 through 19. Now, at one time during my immaturity, when I first saw this text, I thought maybe it's possibly meant excuse me, that it could have possibly meant that the wicked and the righteous going to be in heaven. No, definitely not. This is the heavenly host right now speaking. When someone is teaching, and they're teaching according to the commandments, the host is saying they're great. If they're teaching against the commandment, excuse me, the heavenly host is saying, no, they are least in the kingdom of heaven. It's not going to be a mix. It's not saying that they're going to be both the wicked and the righteous in heaven. Excuse me, sir. How about all the wonderful works that one might have done in the name of the Lord? Would all that credit be lost? There's some good workers out there, you know that?
Oh, yeah.
Not everyone that saith, Lord, Lord, shall enter into the kingdom of heaven. Many will say unto me in that day, Lord, Lord, have we not prophesied in thy name? And in thy name have cast out devils? And in thy name done many wonderful works? And then will I profess unto them, I never knew you. Depart from me, ye that work iniquity. Matthew 7:21 to 23. Are these professed Christians being told to depart? Excuse me. Why? Why are these people being told to depart? Since iniquity is sin, and sin is the breaking of the law, according to 1 John 3:4, then these people will be told to depart because they willfully broke the law. Now some are quick to justify their sins by simply saying, oh, the Lord understands. Is God strict? Straight is the gate. That's S-T-R-A-I-T, not S-T-R-A-I-G-H-T. Straight is the gate, and narrow is the way which leadeth into life, and few there be that find it. Matthew 7:14. Few there be that find it. Does this straight mean like a straight line? or strict?
Strict.
Straight means strict. So Christ is saying strict is the way to salvation. Will the faithful keep all of God's 10 commandments?
Amen.
These are they that keep the commandments of God and the faith of Jesus. Revelation 14:12. Love is the key. In order to use the strength given by Jesus to keep the law, what must I do? Should I remain in the church where it is taught that God changed his mind about the validity of the 10 commandments? Or that there are only 9 that are as God wrote them on stone? Come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, that ye receive not of her plagues. Revelation 18:4. So sin is the breaking of the law. We saw that, didn't we? If sin is the breaking of the law, then if the church that we're attending are not a commandment, is not a commandment keeping church, then we're told by the scriptures to come out of her, my people, that to be not partakers of her sins, which is the breaking of the law. God is saying, come out of sin. Did love replace the law? Isn't that a good question? Did love replace the law? For this is the message that ye heard from the beginning, that we should love one another. So there's nothing new about that. That's 1 John chapter 2 verses 7 and also 1 John chapter 3 verse 11. If you think that love in the New Testament replaces the 10 commandments of the Old Testament, then you should first read Matthew 22:35 through 40. Matthew 22:35 through 40 says this. Then one of them, which was a lawyer, asked him a question, tempting him and saying, Master, which is the greatest commandment in the law? Jesus said unto him, Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy mind. This is the first and great commandment. And the second is like unto it, Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. On these 2 commandments hang all the law and the prophets. Let's read the same thing in Deuteronomy 6:5 and Leviticus 19:18, because I've heard this before. People say, the 10 commandments replaced by love. You're supposed to love your neighbor as yourself, and love the Lord thy God with all your heart, soul, and mind, and that is the 10 commandments. It replaces it. Well, let's look back now. We just read in the New Testament where Christ said that. Let's go back to the Old Testament in Deuteronomy and also Leviticus and see where Christ got that from. Deuteronomy 6:5 says, And thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thine heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy might. And then Leviticus 19:18 says, Thou shalt not avenge nor bear any grudge against the children of thy people, but thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. I am the Lord. Now what do you think? Is love for God and neighbor new? Can this still be used for permission to break any of God's law? Notice that the first 4 commandments found in Exodus chapter 20 verses 3 through 11 all refer to love for God. The second 6 all refer to love for neighbor. Exodus 20 verses 12 through 17. Jesus said, On these 2 tables of stone hang all the law and the prophets. Matthew 2:40. Let's go to Matthew 7:12 and see that the law and the prophets refer to the golden rule. What we call the golden rule. What's the golden rule? Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Matthew 7:12 says, Therefore all things whatsoever ye would that men should do to you, do ye even so to them. For this is the law and the prophets. Now you should keep the first 4 commandments as if you were God and wanted your creation to obey you. That's why keep the first four commandments with that in mind. Keep the last 6 as if you wanted your neighbor to keep them out of love. Wouldn't you want your neighbor to keep those commandments out of love? I would hope so.